To the Cuban government, I say, put an end to the abuse of dissidents. Release the political prisoners. Stop jailing innocent people. Open yourselves to political and economic freedoms. Return the fugitives from American justice.
President Trump, of course, announcing his tougher line on communist Cuba, rolling back some of President Obama's changes with the Castro regime. But it was that last point, returning the fugitives from American justice, that critics said was one shocking oversight by the Obama administration. Specifically, demanding the return of FALN terrorist bomb maker Willie Morales and the convicted New Jersey cop killer, the radical Joanne Chesimard. Well, our next guest demands them back. Joe Connor's father, Frank, was killed in the FALN bombing of Francis Tavern here in New York City in 1975. Frank Connor was 33 years old. Joe, his son, now joins us on the phone. Joe, you've covered this issue for a number of years now. Are you encouraged by that the president, highlighted this in his speech?
Yes, I am encouraged. He mentioned Joanne Chesimard by name, which is great. She is a cop killer. She's a convicted cop killer. She escaped from prison. I wish he would mention Morales' name. He's no less a terrorist than Chesimard. He was one of Oscar Lopez, who we know from the parade a couple of weeks ago, one of his comrades in the FALN. They're both terrorists. They both escaped from prison, and they've both been harbored in Castro's Cuba for 30 years or more.
You think the Obama administration, when they made that deal, this wasn't part of the deal at all to bring 70 fugitives, hijackers, bank robbers, other, terrorists who are still hiding out under the protection of the Castro government. Why do you think that deal was made without bringing them back?
Well, it wasn't a deal. It was a capitulation by the Obama administration. They didn't get anything in return. As a matter of fact, they took Cuba off the state sponsor or terror list, and they remain off, and that's one of the points where I think Mr. Trump needs to add Cuba back to the state sponsor of terrorists, because clearly they're sponsoring terrorists by having them in their country, and that would be a big economic hit to Cuba. U.S. tourism can account for up to 10% of the entire Cuban economy if the projections go as such, and U.S. corporations can't do business with a country who's on the sponsor of terror list. So economically, and Mr. Trump is the deal maker, let's make a deal, Mr. Trump, and put them back on the list until they return these terrorists. And that's where these guys belong. They've all been convicted. We're not talking about these guys going to trial here. Morales, Chesimard, Dorena, who robbed an armored car, have been convicted, and they can come back and go right to prison where they belong.
The State Department and the Obama administration said, they're having discussions with the Cuban government. We're looking at a picture now of Willie Morales. His hands got blown off when he was apparently making a bomb, and then he had escaped and fled to Cuba. And he's on the most wanted domestic terrorist list right now of the FBI. He's been living in Cuba since '88, Chesimard since '84. Did you buy that the State Department was doing anything to try to get him back?
No. Look, you don't give away the house and then expect to get something back at the end of it. I don't think they were trying to get them back. I don't think they had any intention of getting them back. And the only way to get people back is by having leverage. And Obama gave away all our leverage by removing these people from the sponsored terror list, by opening the doors, and by asking nothing in return. They said things like, oh, well, once we get good relations with Cuba, then we'll get them back. That ain't the way it works. Negotiations doesn't work like that. You have to get something for what you give, and we got nothing. Now Trump's got to make a deal here, get these guys back as a starting point for any further opening up to Cuba.
Joe Connor, with his plea to our government, get the fugitives back, those who have broken the law and who have killed Americans. Joe?
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we will be right back.